Hi again, everybody, and welcome to a new edition of Newsmakers TV. I'm Jerry Roberts. It is Friday, November 7th. I am joined by our all-star panel of top local journalists, Christina McDermott, housing and staff writer for the Santa Barbara Independent, Nick Welsh, executive editor of the Indy, and Josh Molina, correspondent for Newshawk, man of many hats, and host of the global podcast sensation, Santa Barbara Talks. Thank you all for being here. Uh, Christina, let's start with you. The effects of the government, Trump's government shutdown, are getting deeper and deeper, and we've seen now chaos beginning to reign at the nation's airports. But closer to home, the cutoff of food stamps, the SNAP program, CalFresh, whatever name you want to put on it, began on November 1st. You have a very good piece in the paper this week, which everybody should check out, talking about how the community is responding to people who are basically going to go hungry. What's the latest on that?
I got good news. Oh my gosh, from an email this morning, that last night and or very early this morning there was money put into CalFresh for Santa Barbara County, and it's going to be released today
Oh, that is
for
good news.
everyone. Yeah,
Wow.
which I think just happened
You
last
heard it
night,
here first on
I think.
Newsmakers TV. Yeah, go ahead.
So that's very good for people.
Is
It's
that
for
for
November.
everybody?
Is
Is
that
that
is that from the feds or the state or local? Do you
So
know?
SNAP is the feds. So yes, federal money was, I guess there's a press release that was released, I think late at some point last night from the governor's office. And then, yeah, I reached out to Santa Barbara County that said, as of this morning, they got an email that they have the money to release to people for
Oh,
November.
that is good
So
news.
so? Is this because Trump was saying we're going to get half of you? Is this half or is this all?
this is all.
Oh, okay.
Which was last night. It's been a whirlwind. So on this week, the administration said we're going to do half of the benefits. And then on Tuesday, he said basically in this really random post, never mind.
We're not
And it
going
was
to do anything.
unclear whether they were going to do the half the benefits or not. The administration had formally said yes, and then he said no, essentially until the shutdown ended. And then on Thursday, um, Judge John McConnell from Rhode Island said, you have to release all the benefits because you haven't done anything, essentially. And then lo and behold, this morning, at least for Santa Barbara County, I don't know if every state has received its funding. There is money. So
That's great news. Uh,
that
Wow.
is
but
kind of what's been
meanwhile,
happening.
meanwhile, sort of heroic efforts by community organizations had stepped in to fill the breach. Uh,
Yeah.
what were some of those?
Yeah. So Food Bank ramped up its efforts. Veggie Rescue sent something out. Lompok's Route One Farmers Market had a fundraiser. There were Meals on Wheels was talking about and planning to step up efforts. I talked to them after I had published the story. They called me back. Organic Soup Kitchen had started planning things. So there really was a community effort. And I think that is important because there was a week where people didn't have their benefits. And this is for November. This money is for November. But this is not indefinite money. So
And I
I don't know
think,
if we're going to have this whole dance again in December.
yeah, and I think you said in your piece that one out of seven residents in Santa Barbara County get food benefits.
That is what the county social services told me. Yeah, that it's about one out of seven residents, and I think I can double check one out of five children.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's a lot of people that rely on this. And someone brought this up to me, and then I saw it again that you can't it's a lot of money. I mean, obviously it's federal money, right? It's our money that our taxes go to. But it's not like a food bank can just make up
Right.
all of the SNAP benefits. And it's a lot of people who rely on it. So,
Yeah. And meanwhile, our president's having a Great Gatsby themed Halloween party down in Mar-a-Lago. So, I mean, you
yeah,
can't
it
make
is.
this up.
And it is a very it's become very political on the higher level. I mean, I think the Trump administration has already appealed Judge McConnell's ruling from yesterday, and Vice President J.D. Vance called it absurd.
Yeah,
Um,
we're not going to have any judges telling us what to do.
and
Well,
so I don't really know where we're going from here, but at least for today, as of this morning, there's some good news.
that is good news. That is good news. Thanks for that. Meanwhile, Nick, on the longest running story in history, the tale of the ruptured pipeline at Refugio, which is now soon to be in its 11th year of commentary on Newsmakers TV. There was a big development this week where when the Board of Supervisors, I don't know, you can't say they reversed themselves, but they amended their earlier decision about the company and whether it's able to do what it's supposed to do. But the big story was Steve Lavanino sort of stepping out against the oil company.
Oh yeah. I mean, so this Sable is kind of the equivalent of the 18 inning baseball game. And I think in this one, although Steve Lavanino refers to himself as Shohei Ohtani, this may be his Freddie Freeman moment. Um, it was the most arcane procedural vote you could imagine over Sable. And it was shall the county supervisors approve the transfer of ownership from Exxon, which owned the whole San Ynez pipeline and production facilities and offshore platforms, to Sable, a new operator from Houston, Texas. And in February, there was a vote on this, and it was a 2-2 tie. This Tuesday, there was a second vote on it at the order of a judge, and it was a 4-1 booyah slapdown for Sable. And the booyah slapdown really came at the hands of Steve Lavanino, who is the 5th District Supervisor, means he represents the city of San Maria, and he is probably one of the most pro-oil elected officials anywhere in Santa Barbara County. He is a big believer in oil. Oil is a pathway from poverty to prosperity for people who don't have a college degree. It is, money in the banks for the county of Santa Barbara so we can provide mental health services. He speaks the gospel of all this quite movingly, but he really let Sable have it. And his vote was a really unexpected one. He said, without spilling a single drop of oil, you have set county oil and gas reputation back by 20 years by your, steamroller bulldozer behavior. And if I was another oil operator or a gas operator, I would be livid. It's like the fact that we're not voting for you today doesn't lay with us. It lays with you and your misguided management policies. And by that, I talked to him afterwards, and he said, the best predictor of anybody's behavior is their past actions. And if you look at Sable, I mean, we're being asked, do we believe Sable can and will follow the rules to keep this a safe, well-run operation, and if there's a mess, they can fix it? And he says, based on their behavior and the short time they've existed here on planet Earth, they have outdone themselves, showing they will not follow any rules. We don't need those stinking badges. And, poor Joan Hartman, the supervisor, I mean, she has come back from, she hadn't been able to vote on this before because she had refused herself.
Finally opened her mail from the FPPC from 5 years ago. Yeah, go ahead.
She said, oh, by the way, I don't have a conflict of interest. I can't vote. So she was ready to weigh in. Nobody cared about that. Roy Lee, the man of very few words, I mean, he got mad at Sable because Sable somehow spoke disparagingly of the firefighters, the county fire department. He just, you owe an apology. I mean, and then you had Laura Capps, and we knew where she was, but it was really it was one of those moments that really shows what difference one person can make in a really big way. The outcome isn't going to change anything, but the fact that Steve Lavanino walked away from him in this very public way and said, disowned him.
It should be noted, notwithstanding Steve's brave stance, it should be noted that he's termed out and he's not running again, which makes these kinds of decisions a little bit simpler in the long-term
Oh yeah,
calculus.
he's got 14 months left, and he is not running again, and he can do what he wants.
And he
But I
long
think
ago left.
the reality is, the
Go on.
previous week there was an oil item on the agenda where the enviros and the 3-2 were like, oh, let's phase out all existing onshore oil, and Steve jumped out of his own throat and said, you know what, this is un-American.
Un-American.
I mean, he used that. So as your reality, the point you raise is absolutely correct. But I think Steve's pro-oil is so, strong, and he manifested the previous week.
He's generally outraged by the behavior of this company.
It's just Sable. Some people go out looking for friends. Sable looks for enemies. It's not. There's a line of what? Don't ask for. Beg for forgiveness, not for permission. They don't ask for forgiveness. They said we're going to sue. We're going to sue you. And at the end of this vote, Exxon probably will sue the county, and who knows what will happen.
Well, so bottom line, there's no oil flowing in that pipeline yet, and more work for lawyers.
Bottom line is all what you just said, and in May, the stock value of Sable was $35 a share. Today, it's $4.50. It has totally tanked because the other thing that has happened is that there was a leaked audio of a insider meeting held by the executive of Sable,
trying to gin up some money,
trying to gin up $225 million. And according to sort of good government financial practices, that was the sort of information he should have told all the investors, not just a handful, like golfer Phil Mickelson.
All right. You can read the rest of it in Nick's excellent piece in this week's edition of the Independent. We got some more mysterious legal and weird action with people on this development at the mission. But before we jump to that, Josh, I wanted to commend you for your recent series of podcasts with the guests who have strong opinions about the future of State Street, particularly the guy that doesn't like the bikes. But anyway, that aside, could you just kind of summarize those three conversations for people real quickly, and then we'll send everybody over to the podcast to get the full take.
Yeah, well, as we know, there are many perspectives on State Street related to cars, no cars, e-bikes, pedestrians, promenade, flat. There's lots of things in motion right now. So most recently, I had Aaron Ashland, who's the owner of the Cruisery, which used to be the Santa Barbara Brewing Company a long time ago. And prior to that, I had Robin Elander, who's the executive director of the Santa Barbara Downtown Association. And I also had Sullivan Israel, who is very much pro bikes, pro pedestrians. He's the head of Strong Towns, Santa Barbara. So differing, conflicting perspectives. And the most recent guest was Aaron Ashland, who's kind of in the middle. He's not pro car. He says, I don't think cars is going to make State Street better. I don't think it's going to enhance retail or the restaurants. But he is adamantly opposed to the fact that these e-bikes are still allowed to be in a pedestrian space, particularly on the 500 block. And Aaron is a very hyperbolic, flamboyant. He speaks exactly how he feels, and he does it in public. He calls into the city council He's not a fan of Randy Rouse. He believes Randy Rouse has been working against the whole State Street effort rather than trying to find a solution, trying to send it back to how it was. So Aaron is very outspoken, and he basically says, we've traded fast cars for fast bikes. And would people feel comfortable walking on Highway 101? Of course not. So why would they feel comfortable walking on State Street when, his words, bikes are going 60, 70 miles an hour? His words again. So he's very adamant that the e-bikes are causing problems on State Street and they're driving a lot of people
Well,
away.
there's certainly the political flashpoint of a lot of things. And what did Sullivan say?
So Sullivan Israel is the 25-year-old leader of Strongtown, Santa Barbara. He's a Laguna Blanca graduate, Cal Poly. I think he's got a master's degree. He's very smart. He's very data, statistic
In
driven.
an academic way.
Yes.
No, Jerry, he is so smart, he makes your head hurt.
In an academic way.
He's very
I don't
much
know
an
about real
urban
life
planner.
experience, but go
He's
ahead.
one of these logical people that exist in the world. His whole thing is, cars are not the answer. Let's figure it out. Let's work toward a solution. He's sort of the antithesis of Randy Rouse, right? He's like the opposite of him. And, his idea
Is
is,
he running for council?
well, he definitely has aspirations. It's just a matter of timing. He is 25, so in 20 years, we'll all be
No,
here
he's not.
talking
He's
about
not running this time.
he probably not. I think he lives in Kristen Snedden's district, so I think that that would be a challenge there. There's a few people running there, so I don't think he's ready to run, but he definitely wants to.
Yeah,
He may run for
average
mayor.
age of the voter in Kristen district is mine. So yeah, good luck with that.
And then we had Robin Elander,
You
who
better move to one of those condos downtown. All right. So where do we
Wait,
stand?
I want to hear when Robin Elander, who used to be a big defender of bicycles on State Street, when she talks about why we need cars on now, what is her? Why will cars save State Street?
Well, she has different bosses now, to be just like honest and out there. Before, she represented primarily the business owners. The whole situation changed where the property owners assessed themselves. That old organization was dissolved. So now her primary direction is from the property owners. And the property owners say that cars will bring more visibility to a street in the sense of the street is kind of dead, at night, early in the morning. It kind of heats up on the weekends when there's programming. They say that cars will help these out of town retailers invest in Santa Barbara because they want that kind of traffic and that kind of visibility. And they also say that there's a lot of people who just won't go downtown anymore, like seniors, older people who do not ride e-bikes, who won't come downtown because they don't feel safe, comfortable, feels threatening. But if they could go downtown and be able to park nearby and walk, they would be able to enjoy the retail aspects. It's an argument that Sullivan Israel just buys 0% into.
Yeah,
He does
by
not believe.
asserting that it's not true. Anyway,
Yes.
don't get me going.
They're thinking
Don't get
about
me going.
lawsuits. I mean, the property owners are not playing games here. I mean, they want the street open. They're thinking of litigation. There's all kinds of, they're going to try to make the case that they're financially hurt by the city's actions. So, this is going to get
Let me ask you.
All right, let me bring Christina back because I don't want to run out of time before we get to the story I'm really cranked up about, which is this office, eight-story monstrosity that these people are purporting to build behind the mission. And Christina, you got a piece this week that the mysterious owners and developers of this property have now sued everybody again, or is this? I mean, how many lawsuits they got going now?
Well, they have two against the city now, although the city says one of them has not been served to them. That's the most recent one. They have one against the county, and now they have one against the state. So they love lawsuits.
And they're suing the state because of this legislation that we've talked about previously that Monique Limon pushed through as part of the budget or
Yes.
other bill.
Yes, and they kind of insinuated that they were going to do that. They didn't stay straight up, we're going to sue you. They said, we're sure the courts will work this out, which is just a very coy way to say, I think we're going to sue you. So that wasn't a total surprise to me, but yeah, they did sue the state on this legislation, and they're arguing that it singles out the development. It kind of does. Like, it is very specific parameters on a development. It has a lot of other stuff in the legislation, so I don't know exactly how it's going to shake out, but there is language that does apply to Santa Barbara County fairly specifically, just at least right now.
But it applies in the same way that the city is stating it applies in terms of environmental review would be required because of the specificity of this location, correct?
Yeah, that is true that the city has already said that the project has to go under environmental review for separate reasons. They sent out that letter at the end of July. Um, I have no idea if the LLC would have sued the city over this or not, or kind of what their whole plan was. Um,
And
the lawsuit itself also sues the city over a separate thing, which is alleging that their housing element is not compliant. And that's based off of a appeals ruling that just happened a couple weeks back, that says the city of Redondo Beach, I believe it is, doesn't have one that's compliant because it uses this zoning technique. And I don't know how much that's going to hold water, but if it does, it would mean major issues for actually, I think, a lot of cities in Santa Barbara, not in Santa Barbara, a lot of cities in California, at least according to what I've been reading,
yeah,
because a lot of them used a certain zoning tactic called overlays.
all right. Well, this is a real Colonel Mustard with the candlestick in the conservatory story, and you do a good job of connecting the dots in your piece this week. But who is Ben Eilenberg?
Yeah, so Ben Eilenberg he's not disbarred. He is under involuntary probation.
Not disbarred. That's
And
good.
this is something he has corrected me on. So
Jerry
now I know
Roberts,
it very well.
still unindicted. Yeah, go ahead.
He's had involuntary probation before, so right now he's working more as like kind of their COO slash real estate manager, and he seems to have connections to the Smiths who own Grand Street and who have very good close connections, if not own the Mission LLC. Um, and they seemed, at least him and Stephanie Smith, Eilenberg and Stephanie Smith, seem to have a relationship going back as early as 2017. They appear in news about cannabis lawsuits together. The three of them, I think, have been connected for a while.
And what is the Unitarian Universalist mission?
So the county lawsuit is so in on Los Olivos, this property, they owe 293,000 plus dollars in property taxes. They just haven't paid them since 2022. And there could be a lot of reasons why they're doing that. But they sued the city saying they don't have to pay property taxes because they rent to a church, which is this Unitarian Universalist or Universalist Unitarian mission. And when you go look at the filing documents from the state for this church, the CEO and CFO are Craig and Stephanie Smith, who are the owners of Grand Street and who have this connection to Ben Eilenberg. And then when I first looked up this church, it didn't have a website that I could find. Now I've found a website connected to it, but the website doesn't seem, last time I checked, like it's been finished. Like it seems like someone just like slapped on this
So
like very
if
like
we wanted to attend services at the
I don't know
Unitarian
how you
University,
would.
Did you get
where would
somebody
we go?
Did they perform weddings?
Maybe the Unitarians in Santa Barbara were very, very strongly asserting they have nothing to do with this.
Did they
Like
take
they
out
are
an
not.
ad? Did
These
they
people.
take out
Those
an
are
ad say we are them?
Yeah, they when I spoke to them, they said they were considering sending a cease and desist. I don't know if they actually did. It's worth noting that I think, although I don't have this on fact, that they played around with the language on the website a little bit, the website that's unfinished. So it's a very ballsy move to try and get out of property taxes, I think. But the county has said this is not a real church, and I believe this is just slowly plotting its way through the courts right now.
All right. Well, Christina, you may be here talking about this longer than Nick has been talking about that goddamn.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
And the last interesting part I kind of found is that Stephanie Smith, I don't know if Cray Smith was involved or not, potentially. They have been involved in suing a state entity before. It wasn't the state, it was the Coastal Commission. And it wasn't quite the same thing, but they were trying to build a 20,000 foot compound on a property with landslide potential. In I forget which area of LA, which the Coastal Commission denied. And so there's some parallels there. It's not the same project. It's not a builder's remedy project. It's just a big house, but there's been lawsuits in the past. They have a lot going on, these people.
And Nick, am I correct that Mr. Eilenberg also surfaced this week in a email chain going back and forth about development in carp? And he is somehow connected to an 18-story project there.
I have not nailed that down that he is involved, but I have heard his name mentioned in connection with an 18-story, which is really 8 stories by dimension was sort of like a front enough, but they're gonna up the ante. So we're gonna go Super Godzilla, and we're gonna do 18 stories, and in Carpinteria, where I mean, this is Mayberry by the Sea, and they are militant and proud about it, and that would be massive warfare.
Yeah, even as they're fighting, or we're fighting yesterday at the Coastal Commission about this ag transfer to residential for the Van Wingert and Doss Williams property. Josh, I don't know how you didn't get in on that one. That was, and Megan Harmon was in the middle of it, no less.
Well, now that you brought it to my attention, I may have to
really, this is a Megan story, Josh.
Oh, it's a total Megan story. She was in the Free Fall.
I've got to go. I just can't continue today. Sorry, bye.
Hey, Josh, anything new on the rent control front that we should be aware of? When's that coming back?
Well, they're supposed to come
Well,
back.
I know Randy's been out with op-eds all week in every publication except mine. But I guess because he gets a free platform here every 6 weeks. By the way, Mayor's on next week, next Friday, so put it in your calendar.
Well, the city council's effectively been off for like a month because
because Oscar's making his grand tour of Asia, apparently.
yeah, and
What the hell
Randy,
is that about?
I don't know.
Oscar Gutierrez has been AWOL from
Oh yeah. He's on a sister cities trip that was, I
sister
believe,
cities.
to Japan, but he went to some other countries there as well. So anyway, Randy had knee surgery or is having it or something. I don't know. And then they're interviewing city attorney candidates in closed session. As far as I know, with rent control, the staff's gonna come back at the end of the year, by the end of the year, with some sort of timeline proposal. How long would it take? That's all that I know, and I'm sure there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with how to speed this up and simultaneously slow this down because it is an election year. Randy does not, maybe he does want it on the ballot, maybe he doesn't. Some people would want to go away. Megan Harmon, others maybe want to get it done before they leave.
If they passed it and the property owners put a measure on the ballot to repeal it, would that not benefit Randy?
It would encourage voter turnout for sure, yeah, but it would also increase the other side. And we know that, I mean, Randy Rouse needs to remember that he is mayor because Kathy Murillo and James Joyce split votes. So split thousands of moderate liberal Democrat votes. So he needs to, know that that may not be the case with someone challenging Chris. So,
well, what about Eric? Is Eric running or not? Oh no. Did you freeze? Did I freeze? What happened?
I'm here. I don't know if anyone else is.
I'm on. Christina, are you frozen? Christina.
I think everyone is frozen for me but me, and now we're all back.
Now we're back.
Okay, yeah.
Well, that was,
We all had a stroke.
well, maybe it's because I mentioned Eric. I don't know. Um, Is he running?
Who?
Eric.
When I talked to him, he said he didn't know. It was either going to be for mayor or for first district supervisor in a couple of years. There may be some talk to get Randy not to run, so Eric can run. We don't know.
All right. All right, well, let's leave it there. Nick Welsh, Josh Molina, and Christina McDermott, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. And thank you all for watching. And we will see you next time on Newsmakers.
Thank you.
Right.